So the book deals with the crisis that's affecting Europe at the moment, which prompted the Brexit vote. And I don't think it was so much against Europe, it was against British establishment and against immigration and the whole globalization package, which was current during the Blair era. Blair was the preeminent Atlanticist of the last generation. He adapted his foreign policy very closely to the United States, and he was very much in favour of multiculturalism. He didn't think twice about it. He thought it would produce innovation, and he thought it would destroy the old conservative Britain. Conservative was bad, novelty was good. He was basically an American with a British accent. And the malevolent influence of America on Europe is the pressure on creating a European Union, whose aim was to recreate America in Europe without the geopolitical heft of Washington. So basically a playground for American values and American exports, where European values weren't prominent at all. And part of that playground creation was to have maximum open borders, both for ease of selling products abroad, but also to create a sort of miscegenated, mixed population, just like America. And you could say that companies, consumers, if they're isolated from collectivist values, which can include religion and nationalism, they're more easy to sell products to, because they buy the identity rather than recreate it as a part of a collective. So you could say that this mass immigration project, mass mixing project, is also a capitalist project. So that's one thing, one influence America's had. A second one is the sort of politics of multiculturalism and positive discrimination, which was American and very much specifically adapted to the American civil rights movement and the legacy of slavery, but which the European left has bought lock, stock and barrel. And so all this speech codes, political correctness, which has been very damaging for Europe's intellectual fabric, is imported from the United States. But the problem with Europe is it doesn't have the free speech legacy that America has, so it's importing the bad things of America without having the checks and balances of a very free political climate. And I think the third thing is, America's disastrous foreign policy in the Middle East, which basically killed all these nation states and supporting radical Islam. And that's destroyed Syria, Iraq and Libya, all of which were dictatorships that put a lid on the radical Islam in those countries. They were hostile to Muslims. But America supported radical Islam partly because it thought that the secular dictatorships were hostile to Israel. You can't underestimate the enormous power of the Jewish Israeli lobby in America. And partly in the past because these secular states were often aligned with Soviet Russia, which was an enemy. It was more important to support radical Islam than it was to support states that were favourable to Russia. And I think some in America wanted to export democracy to Iraq and places like that without having any concept of history or anything. And they thought that when you topple a dictator, then you'll automatically get democracy. But what happened was you got civil war instead, and violence, and you got a resurgence of the Shia-Sunni divide all over the Middle East. And the Sunnis wanted to exterminate. Not only do they want to spread Islam to Europe, but they want to exterminate the Shias, and they want to kill the Jews. And it's unfortunate also that America is allied with Saudi Arabia.